Hold on. Eliam over here keeps on walking. He's in the background. He wants to keep being in front of the camera. So
this guy, let's go.
Everybody basically knows that, hey, once there he is right there. Once you get your first deal, you're coming to Hawaii or Guadalajara or somewhere cool, right? We're gonna do stuff and enjoy and celebrate the wins. Because I think one big takeaway was that we got to talk to some guy about helping him find his first deal, and then we talked to somebody else. God damn it, bro! What is that?
What do we got in here? We got alarms going off.
Yeah, man. Fuck.
Somebody leaving the fridge door open.
One more time.
What's up, you guys? We just finished Ask Alex number 61. This was the virtual open house networking event, which I love because we're talking to other investors about other investment deals. And man, we had some good stuff today. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways?
So big takeaways is one, we helped somebody talk about and kind of formulate a strategy for getting their first deal. And then another person got their first deal. So we helped them with their rehab, some estimating there and some good tips for getting that done. And then if you stay to the end, you'll find out whether or not one of our webinar attendees is going to buy a murder property. What's up, you guys? Hello. Just waiting for my man, my co-host, Will Wall, to jump in. Aloha from Maui. Today, we're going to do an open house, you guys. We're going to talk about deals. I'm sure we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about construction. There is ongoing construction here at the house I'm at, so you might hear some saws in the back. I apologize for that in advance. We got to finish this project here in Maui. So what's up, my man? Will, where you at, brother?
What's up, Mr. Camacho?
What up? Aloha, buddy.
Out here in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles. I know you're out there in sunny, beautiful Maui. So we're both getting to experience some of the best. I know the weather is always kind of changing out here in LA. Like we finally got some warm weather back. A week ago, we were back in the 40s. So it's been nice to be back and warm out here. I got my short sleeves on. I know you got your short sleeve on as well, hanging out with the boys at the beach. So good stuff, man.
Yeah, man, it's been cool to kind of hang out. Got back over to Maui. Last week I was in LA, even though it was a short stay. It was short and sweet. So today we're just going to be hanging with a bunch of deal makers, talking to everybody. But I certainly want to give them an update. There's some always, even though just a week passes from the last time, there's always a lot of things happening. So when I got back here to Maui, we had to basically import a rehab team to finish off the property here because we were having such problems with the current project managers and/or GCs that we were working on this deal, and the cost per square foot is crazy over here. Materials, everything is crazy. So just have people live at the property, help us rehab the property, and stay on budget, stay on track. It's amazing. I got to hang out with these guys. A couple of them I didn't meet before they were flown out. And it's just great. Shout out to Mike. I know Mike has been, and Mikey, Mark, also Dustin. I mean, these guys are over here crushing and helping us get this thing to the finish line just in a couple of weeks. So that's been cool. Also, Eliam is here. And Eliam, he's one of our acquisitions guys over in LA. The kid. And so shout out to Eliam. He got his first couple deals. So we know within our crew, within our tribe, everybody basically knows that, hey, once there he is right there. Once you get your first deal, you're coming to Hawaii or Guadalajara or somewhere cool, right? We're going to do stuff and enjoy and celebrate the wins. So he's over here. He's been enjoying himself. We also got keys to my house hack in Hollywood, which is, I'm super excited about that project because it's not that big of a rehab now that we actually got inside of it, got the keys and saw what we have in front of us. And then, we just got a great deal on it. So I'm super happy to be transitioning, spending more time in LA, helping to support the team, helping to do more deals out there. Everything that we do, just kind of once this house here in Maui's done, then it'll allow me to just kind of spend more time in LA and work on the projects over there with you a little bit closely. The 1-2 punch, right, Will? But what I wanted to say about that house, though, the one in Western, the one that I'm house hacking, shout out to Renee, because that was, his first official deal as an acquisitions person. I mean, the guy's been working really hard with us for like 6 months, and then to see him now win, see him get a deal, and a deal that just makes sense and that I'm going to keep. He's still going to get paid out the same, but he's super stoked about it. And it just shows that if you put in the work and you're with the right team, and you give it that consistent discipline effort, because he has a full-time job, and then he still was able to do it. He's going to get a nice fat check on that deal, and also give him some confidence, and he's turning into a shark himself. So super excited about him on that. You have anything to say about Renee? I know you guys work real close together.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, dude, I mean, like, it just been grinding, and he's a great story. Just like me, he has a 9 to 5, so he's doing this around that. He has a kid, multiple kids. He has a wife, a beautiful wife, a family. He maintains an incredible mustache. Sometimes it's the full beard. But the guy is very well polished, and I think we often say that you're rewarded in public for the work you put in private. And I think that really hits home with a story like Renee's, because he actually started as a private money lender that was like, hey, I want to put some money away while I'm doing my job. And then, we always allow our private money lenders access to the business, a chance to kind of see inside and learn. And he was like, dude, Will, like, I think I could make some offers with you. And he started putting in offers and started, making things happen, and would be like, hey, Will, I got further in this conversation. I got further along. So it's always good to kind of see that, hard work come to fruition. And
yeah,
great
the growth individually and collectively is what fulfills me and keeps me super excited. I'll tell you that, because it's not about money. It's like seeing, hey, this person with us. Of course, we all want to make money, right? Be profitable. But the point is when you see people put in the work and then they grow and then they become what they wanted to become, right? You start to get consistency with that and really understand the business. He's put in the work, and I'm just super happy working with him because he has a great attitude, and I know he's putting in the work. Also, I know him from like basically high school. He heard my Bigger Pockets podcast, and then he was like, holy crap, like, hey, what's up, Alex? I remember you. We started chatting. He wasn't clear on what he wanted to do. Then, like you said, he came in, helped us out with funding one of the deals. And then after that, he's like, you know what? I could actually probably put some time aside despite all the stuff I got going on. And then he just kept on showing up. And then now the results are showing up. And it's just so, great to see that kind of that progress, right? So.
And I mean, it doesn't take hours, right? It just takes consistency. And like, this kid's just been consistent as hell, right? Like, he just every week he's making offers, he's putting in the numbers, he's putting in the work. And so great story, and great story for Eliam as well. Being out there in Maui, because that means it's coming up for Renee as well. So good stuff, right?
Yeah. And we also big news, we finished our first bird in the Antelope Valley. We've been doing flipping it. We have a partner, a project manager in Paul, that helps out with the rehabs and the flips that we do. But he's also a big landlord out there. We have our insurance agent that we interviewed last week on the webinar, Lorena. She's a big landlord in Antelope Valley. And then now we're starting to pick up rentals, and we're still looking at small, medium, multifamily. But this one just hit that, right, built in 1990s, nice house, nice neighborhood. We can see this thing, a nice family renting this and keeping this for the long term. And so we're starting to pick up some, rentals in areas that we were doing a lot of flipping. And I want to really say we got into Antelope Valley because we saw that opportunity of doing both, of having the ability to flip, but having the ability to hold, and then also potential multifamily. It really, for us, it's a closer region than IE, which is Riverside, San Bernardino. I love doing deals out there. And we're doing a lot of stuff now in Joshua Tree and whatnot. But that was kind of that secondary market that we got to, aside from core LA, that core LA really, it's highly competitive. Price points are high. It takes a lot of capital. Whereas these other markets that are, kind of sub-markets close to the core of everything, we've seen success there. And so we're sharing that with all of our, followers, attendees, and everything. So you can say, hey, we're seeing results in these areas. We're paying attention to our numbers. And that's why we're going to these areas, not because it's sexy in any way, like flipping a house in like East Lancaster is not like, you're not going to change the world, but hey, dude, like, it's a great market that we've seen that has consistently produced results. And then finally, big announcement. We are having
going on, Alex? What's happening next week?
We are having a big meetup again next week on Thursday. Whoever can make it out in person, that would be fantastic. I mean, we expect over 100 people. We're going to have tacos, drinks, talk about deals. We're gonna have some guest speakers. We're gonna have a giveaway that I want to give away, but it's gonna be
Don't
dope.
give it away yet, but it'll be a good giveaway. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can do all that, and I'll be back in LA for that week, and then we could go look at a bunch of projects, and I could talk to a bunch of people in person, and and hang out. So that's gonna be cool. What do you got going on, Will? Are we gonna talk to a bunch of people today about deals or what?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like enough about us. I mean, this is one of my favorite webinars. What we're gonna do now is Alex will go ahead and make me the host, and you guys can chat in right now if you want, just over in the chat. Let us know where you're from, what your IG handle is, and then as we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get everybody else onto the screen. And why this is one of my favorite webinars is because Alex and I are already giving away the book. We're already giving it all away every other week, right? So this is just kind of a cool week to chat back with you guys and see, like, hey, you guys have been putting in action. You guys have been taking, massive amounts of action. Like, what are some of the questions you guys are having? What are some of the other roadblocks you're having? And the cool thing is it's not just Alex and I, but you actually are going to get everybody's eyes on your issue, on your deal, whatever that might be that you need some help with. And, I think, like I said, this is one of my favorite weeks for that reason.
Yeah, same thing here, dude. We get to chat with people. We're on an open concept. We're open books, but then what else? We're happy to learn from other people if they got something else going on, or if there's something they want to share, some wins. This business is a grind and everybody's at different levels. So it's good to just be around people that are doing more than you, people that are doing less than you, people that are doing, kind of about the same as far as like deals and kind of just in general. And, oh, my man, Mark, I see his handsome face there. What's up, Mark?
What's up, bro? What's happening?
What's up, guys? In the building, Camacho and Tristan, what's up, my people? Serena, thank you. What's up, everybody? So yeah, dude, a lot of things going on here. I'm happy about the progress of the House of Maui. My partner's gonna be here for like a month. So once he's here for like a month, I think from March 15th, April 15th, and then we're gonna kind of open it up to our network. Hey, who wants to rent it? Who wants to come out for a week? We're not, it's gonna be a property that we're definitely gonna be able to make connections and have people experience the beautiful island of Maui, and then perhaps some other parts of the islands if they're here. So that'll be cool. And then I'll be spending more time in LA.
Yeah, and I mean, coming up this weekend, Alex, or this week in LA, like I think this meetup, I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people that have been out to meetups before. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for other people who want to come out and see a meetup. I think last time we had 120 people there. And out of that 120 people, I personally heard from people that were like, dude, I ended up connecting with this guy and we partnered up. Me and this guy are making a group and we're doing business together. We're doing deals together. So I'm super excited for next week on Thursday. That'll be fun. And hopefully we see everybody there who's able to make it in the area.
Yeah, and do that meetup. I saw the same thing when I'm looking out to the crowd and a bunch of people are just like connecting, talking, shop, doing everything we do when we're, talking about.
Yeah, I'm leaving right now anyway.
My man, Mark, doing some things. But yeah, and that's what we want, right? We want that true engagement where we're like, hey, what are you up to? What are we up to? And we haven't have it all figured out, but apparently we have some stuff and we're sharing that, to make this business and this industry a little bit better. And then for, if you remove your ego from it, there's plenty of deals for everybody. There's plenty of private money lenders for everybody. There's plenty of, all the above. It's a matter of how many people are you connecting with and building some value, building some genuine relationships. And I had this opportunity to hit my plate last night based on a relationship that I've had for over a year, maybe 2 years actually in LA. And it's maybe going to turn into a deal in Hawaii. You just never know how you might be able to work with somebody. I know it's kind of cliche, but that's how this networking thing works, right? That's why it's called work though. Like, what's everybody up to though, man? I'm happy to chat. This is you guys' chance to kind of open dialogue. If you guys have anything you want to talk about or something that is a win or something that you have a challenge with that you want the group help with, because we all have problems. I can share with a couple problems I have if you guys see it that way first. You guys want to work on that first.
No, and guys, again, it can be a problem. It can be a win, something you want to share. I just shared in the chat with you guys 2 links. The top one's our Facebook group. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys are already in there, but the bottom one is the link for the meetup. If you guys are interested and can make it out, make sure you RSVP. We're going to have tacos. So we just want to make sure we have a good count, how much taco stuff to get. But as Alex said, like who's got a win or something they want to share, or a struggle that they need some help with?
Nobody? Come on, guys. Not everybody started at once.
Everybody had a perfect week, no struggles, no good stuff. Everybody's just kind of neutral, right in the middle.
Hey, Will, I'll jump in and just ask a question. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody, my name is David. I'm a realtor, got licensed in November of 2020. So aspiring investor, just kind of been trying to network and meet other people in the space. Traditionally, I've been in LA about 9 years working in the entertainment industry and project management. So a lot more on the experiential side. So I was able to meet Will actually at a meetup a couple of weekends ago, got to check out his house hack project and just kind of learn a little bit more. So as I kind of get deeper into looking for deals and just prospecting different things, what I'd love to get a little bit more insight on, obviously when looking for what could be a great comp, that's going to set off some red flags, but just for different rules of thumb or best practices that you all have, I'd love to learn what are things you look for when you're only noticing maybe like 60 to 70K, profit from different things, or how are you looking to, just find deals when it's a little bit more difficult than those obvious ones that you should go after, just so I can, kind of try to frame have a better frame of reference as I'm trying to, speculate and find some stuff that could be a potential great deal. That's what I'd love to learn from you if possible.
I think for me, it really kind of varies market by market and investor by investor, right? A lot of it has to do with overhead. So like I see some people like Camo High and Daniel Kong that are out in Hawaii, and Alex. So the cost of doing business out in Hawaii in the islands is going to be more expensive than doing business out here. So you might expect a higher profit threshold. Like Camo High, are you going to do a deal if you make 30K and it takes 9 months of your time and you have to park 200,000 there? Probably not worth it, not worth the time, right? But now there might be an investor here in LA that is doing their first flip and has 200,000, and they're like, this is a sure deal. I can't mess it up. I can learn a lot and I can make 30K on it. That might be like, dude, 30K is my threshold because I'm a solopreneur. I'm going to house hack it. I'm going to live in it. Like they might have, some other way of making that happen that isn't the same as a business. For Alex and I, like we have certain margins where it's like, if we have to do, and we call it bandwidth, right? Like, does it fit into our current cycle? Like for us in the Antelope Valley, as Alex mentioned earlier, we'll take down just about anything because we already have 4 projects going on up there right now. And we pretty much always do. So there's always a cycle of work available out there. Now, if we were to take on a deal in San Diego, it would have to be pretty sweet because, we don't have a team in San Diego. We don't have, like, we just wholesaled the deal in Vegas, right, Alex?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. What were our qualifications on that? We were going to make maybe 60, 70K as if we flipped it.
Yeah. So, I think the real question is like everybody's kind of buying criteria is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think, you need to understand, are you looking for a flip, or are you looking for like a deal that you could wholesale, or what are you looking for yourself?
Well, for now, I'm really just trying to kind of looking for things that would probably be a good flip for the few investors that I've met, and just also for myself to study as I continue until I'm at the point where I'm really ready to take on a project myself. So I'm hoping to, find a good deal, kind of run project management, bring in some of that expertise to learn, as I get up to speed.
How are you running the numbers on those flip opportunities?
Well, now since I've met Will, obviously I'm going to be looking at the using that file that you guys
we got
have,
him set up
kind of
on
with the best
the
worst
flip
case
calculator.
and everything. So
so just a kind of quick cheat code for me. I'm always looking at, hey, how much profit we're gonna make compared to how much capital we're gonna tie up. So that's kind of like my little rule of thumb. Like, hey, if we're gonna tie up, like, say and typically if you're gonna do hard money, you're gonna put 20% down, and then not everybody's doing 100% financing where they're able to get that private money second. Say you're just putting 20% down and then you're doing the rehab, out of your pocket. You kind of get a gauge of how much money you might need to like execute and buy that flip. So if you're gonna have to use $250,000 and then it's only estimated to make 50 grand profit, it's like it's not really gonna hit our numbers. So we're really trying to make sure that it's a good use of the capital. Now, if you just have $250,000 lying around, and it's only one flip a year you're doing, and you're willing to take it down and then tie that up and have that big project for only maybe that little bit of a profit, well, that's different. So I think that's some of the stuff that Will was identifying, that as you run more and more scenarios about flipping real estate, you begin to see just patterns and, oh, this deal is sweeter than this deal. And so that's why there's a lot of value from just getting really good at evaluating deals constantly wherever market we're working on.
I pulled up my screen share here, Alex, just so you can kind of explain that with a visual representation, because this is like when I have to pitch Alex a deal, I'm pitching him on this right here. Like you said, is what's the amount of profit we're going to make? How much money do we have to commit to get that profit? And how quickly are we going to be able to get that money back?
Yeah.
So if it's a longer amount of time and a smaller amount of money and a bigger amount that we have to use to get it, the interest starts to go down further and further and further, right?
Yeah, and again, that's why you're getting the reps in, David, and look at a deal after deal after deal. Hey, every house has a number, as a lot of people say, it really does, but that number might be 125,000 less than the asking price, simply because of the project. It's just an overpriced listing. I mean, that's why you go on MLS and 90% of it's overpriced. Like it's not going to suffer that. It's an investment grade property, for example, like it's a fixer upper, but it's dramatically overpriced for what the real potential ROI is. And so, just run a lot of numbers, get familiar with the calculator. There's other calculators out there, but I think more so just learn the skill set of evaluating deals. And then as you start to do a couple, you'll be like, oh, okay, you'll start to see even more patterns, because they do develop after seeing more and more of these investment type of deals.
That really helps. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. Good call. Just the deal analysis, guys. I think they just can't be understated. I mean, the vets, think about all the people that have done hundreds of deals. How many deals do you think they've evaluated? I mean, so, it helps you just make decisions fast, because when I look at something like that's a deal, and then, sometimes we miss deals because we procrastinate. We wait that extra couple hours. We wait that extra couple days to get back to somebody. If it's a deal, lock it up. That's how fast they go. No one's going to give away a deal and let it just sit on the market. Or and then oftentimes through this deal analysis, you could walk people through why you're offering that better, right? You're like talking to an agent, you're talking to a wholesaler, you're talking whatever, like, hey, bro, this is the numbers I'm dealing with here. You feel more confident when you're talking like that, because you've already looked at, a couple hundred of deals, or a couple hundred potential deals, even if they close or not. And then also that's why there's value in going back and look at some of the ones you evaluated maybe a couple months ago, because right now you're early on, but what about the deals you evaluated earlier on? Like, how did those turn out? And did they actually turn into profitable deals? There'll be some learning there for that. And then
love that, Alex. So like, when I first started, I kept an Excel sheet of every offer I made. And then I would circle back a couple months later and be like, dude, I only missed that deal by like $5,000. It went to somebody for $450. I offered $445. Like I was right in the running.
Yep.
So I love that point, Alex. And I also did just share in the group chat 2 weeks ago, Alex and I did a deal review on the webinar, and we literally just went into Anaheim and Orange County. I think it was two places that we've never bought in a home. And we were just like, this is how we would look to find a deal. Yeah. So if you want to just know how to like upstart on a new market, like how to, initially kind of set the parameters, I would definitely recommend checking out that week.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? You could ask us pretty much anything.
Doesn't even have
Alex,
to be a question.
This is Jason. I got a couple questions actually.
What's up, champ?
What's going on, brother? Hey, so as I mentioned last week, I got my first deal locked in escrow right now, my first flip. And just some pointers. I think the biggest challenge I'm having at this point is just locking in a contractor. So any points on how I should interact with contractors? What should I look for? Yeah.
Sure. Sure. I'll give a couple points there. I know Will's been, working a lot with some of our contractors on the projects too. So I'm sure he'll have some pointers. But my biggest thing is I like to really plan, projects out. So I'm trying to have multiple people in there because I have my ideas on the project. Even if it's just a cosmetic rehab, there might be something overlooked. So I always like to have multiple eyes on there. So, bid it out to at least 3 people. You don't have to bid out every single project with 3 people. Sometimes you got the right person. But if it's just your first flip, I mean, you want to have multiple eyes on it so they can give you different feedback, opinions, ideas. And then, now I just kind of feel out because then you'll start to see the differences. And then we really like to go have that first couple of days, maybe even a week, to plan out the project. So we want this kind of more planned out. We don't want to just like hit the ground running. Day number 1 doing demo. Maybe you got into the property beforehand and you do already have a kind of a scope of work and know what you're going to do. But we like to make sure we have a plan for the project, because sometimes for us too, we might be planning on keeping the property, so that might have changed when we plan on doing an Airbnb on it. That's going to be a little bit different. So really kind of nailing down that plan in that first couple of days, first week or so is big for me. And then just going with whoever feels like is the right GC for that project, not because this guy's been working with me for a year, but is this other guy a better fit for this project, has more bandwidth, has just, so just that decision can be a costly decision for you because of the time, energy involved. So I think it's really, really important to pick the right guy, not the one that just, it'd be easier to work with this guy. No, I mean, but he doesn't, maybe he hasn't rehabbed those kind of houses yet, or maybe it's kind of a far commute for him and his crew, whatever that may be. You just and analyze it just like with the deal, like who you're picking for the rehab of the project is super important there. And then lastly, I think I'll just say it's just rehabbing the property for the area is super important, because like I don't need to over rehab stuff. I don't need to spend an extra $10,000-$15,000 on something if it's not going to make me more money. So just don't do it, and just make sure you're rehabbing per the area. And if you have to spend a little bit more because it's a nice area, you can make more money, then just do that. But don't skimp out. If that area is a little bit nicer, then you need to spend a little bit more on the finishes and whatnot. That's my feedback.
Anyone else have any feedback? Mine real quick would just be, for me, it's communication wise. So when I go, I meet the contractor there and I ask them, when do I expect to bid? And that's it. I don't ask them again. If they don't send the bid and they don't send it when they said they did, then I already know there's an issue, right? Because I'm going to ask you if there's something going to be done at a certain timeline. And if that doesn't happen right off the bat, then you're probably having too many jobs from that contractor. So I'm not going to chase you down for a bid. That means you're usually going to chase them down for work later on as well. That was my big suggestion outside of what Alex mentioned. I know there's some other, guys out here that have dealt with some bigger contractor issues, maybe Mark or Camel High or, anybody else who's had any other issues that can recommend something for Jason as well on his first flip.
I think you're right on. Time frame's very big, because time's money. The faster you finish, the faster you get paid. But like you said, if they don't call you back, I have good friends of mine. Sometimes they don't call me back, and I'm like, sorry, bro. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm shopping you. I know you're a good friend of mine, but if you can't call me back in a timely manner, I'm gonna go elsewhere.
Yeah, because we do get tight with these contractors sometimes. Why they're our boys, they're helping us execute, and then they're really they come through sometimes. But then like it's still an ongoing business, and sometimes it's crazy how these contractors will just kind of fall off. They're good for a little bit, and they have a shelf. Somebody told me recently that they kind of have a shelf life. Unfortunately, we don't want that to be the case, but a lot of them do. So keep that in mind.
And I know I do labor and I pay for the material. I think the biggest thing is to make sure you have 3 different window companies, 3 different cabinet companies, because some don't have what you need and the other might have it. It might be a couple $100 more, but I have 3 cabinet companies that I use because one doesn't have one cabinet, one doesn't have an upper, one short a panel. So you got to find out which has everything in one shot, so your guy can go down there and get it.
Love that. That's a good one as well.
Yeah, I think all of that advice is like awesome. I think I would second all that stuff. One other thing that we'll do when we're first working with a contractor is we'll go out and take a look at some of his jobs. So make sure if you can't do that he sends you some of his work, but pictures don't do justice. Sometimes you're not going to catch things. If you go to some of his properties and just look at his work, take a look at his work.
And
Love that. Like see the craftsmanship
I think
in
that's
person. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and that's just to second that, like completely agree with everything you guys say. And then when you're at the job and like looking at his sites, like ask him about different things and see how he responds to your questions. And so like sometimes like see, does he get defensive or is he like dismissive or things? And to ask him like difficult questions at his job site about permitting and different kinds of like maybe like decisions that he made or didn't make or finishes, and just see how he responds to it. I think it will go a big way to telling like how he's going to respond to you later on if you have any kind of issue with him too, so.
And if I can chime in, I would definitely set expectations up front. How often he's going to get paid, how often you guys are going to meet at the property to actually review progress on the work. And if they start pushing back on some of that, then you probably don't want to work with them. It means they're nervous. What's really, really common with contractors is they're not very good at money management. So they'll use the next job to pay for the last job. So you have to be really careful about that. And then what I did on my last house hack here in LA is I actually did a home inspection once the work was done. And that allowed me to see if there was any other surprises. And sure enough, there was a pipe that was leaking underneath my house. And so I went back to the contractor, like, you got to fix it. And he had no problem fixing it. But it's just, you know, we like to trust the contractors, but I'm not a professional electrician. I'm not a professional plumber. So holding them accountable is really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. Great commentary on that, Rick. One more thing I wanted to add to what he said was we kind of have a percentage. Like, I don't want to be more than like 10-20% ahead of what the work has been done, simply because like I'm okay with paying you a little bit of profit, right? So it's like, so if you are 50% done, I'm okay having already paid you 70% of it, but no more than that. Just kind of like that rolling scale for that, okay, you want 10% to get started? Okay, we'll give you 10% to get started. Okay, another 10%, for this. Okay, cool. I'm 20% in now. You're not getting any money until you start some work, like something's happening. So there's always like, you never want to be too far out where like you pay this guy 75% of the job and he's only done 20% of the job. Like, don't ever do that. So like that's been also helpful for us, that little bit.
Especially if permits haven't been signed off yet. He does not get the final check until the permits have been signed off, because otherwise they'll disappear and it becomes your problem.
Absolutely. So I know my guy pays, he starts the work and a week in, the second week he asks for 33.3%. And that's how I pay him. And then he goes another like 3 weeks, well, no, another week. That guy's quick. So he's in and out in 3 weeks. So I pay him 33.3% each time. And then the final, we do our walkthrough, and then we go on.
Do you have another question, Jason? You said you had multiple.
Yeah, so this one is regarding budget. So once I get the bid and we settle on a price, should I, to be safe, allocate for there being some overage, or be firm about staying on budget? Like, what's the rule of thumb on that?
Well, that's a good question. Who wants to answer that one?
I do 10%. So if it's like 50 grand, I'm gonna put an extra $5,000 for miscellaneous that's coming up.
I would say
I do more.
That's pretty fair for us though too, because we're pretty dialed in with our flips, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're usually between 5-10%, no more over or kind of below, generally speaking. So I wouldn't need to put more than 10%. I agree, but maybe you want to do 15% your first flip or something. But
and we also have a contractor or project manager walk the property with us. So I mean, it's not just like a blind eye is walking in. It's like, hey man, I spotted this, and this that needs to go down. We got a regular kitchen and 2 regular bathrooms, assuming there's no plumbing, leaking pipe underneath that we need to fix, which would be that extra, 5 to 8 to 10K, depending on the rehab estimate. We're pretty close on that. And the reason why is because usually like a major system can cost between like 7 and 10K, if it's like a new HVAC system, because you get in there and you saw the hoods and everything are up there, but then you get in there and you're like, oh, it doesn't work. You're like, okay, cool. So that costs $4 grand to repair. Like, all right, we're good. Or $4 grand to replace, maybe 500 to repair, right? So really, you're never going to be caught that far off. I think 10% is pretty fair.
Cool. Good questions.
So I have a quick question. So for those who don't know me, my name is Rick. I'm a 2-time house hacker here in LA, and I do represent a lot of clients. I'm also a realtor and help them house hack. For flips, because I actually work with the developer, but they generally do bigger projects. So they always do really extensive due diligence. I mean, they'll do the full gamut of inspections. But on these smaller time flips, I'm starting to get clients who want to do those. And I've represented some, and they don't do any inspections up front, which to me is kind of like, I would much rather spend a couple $1,000 because chances are we can renegotiate. But in your guys' experience, have you guys generally do the sewer, chimney, all of that? Or is it more of like you just walk through with your contractor? Because then it goes back to the question of what's the contingency? It's like, well, if you didn't do your full due diligence, how will we know how much, like where the surprises are?
Depends on the deal, depends on the spread, right? So like we just bought a house in Hollywood that Alex was mentioning, his new house hack up there. Like we bought the house and our lender was like, as is, this thing is worth 630, 650. And we bought it at 430. So it's like, it really didn't matter what condition it was in. We walked the property. We didn't bring an inspector with us, but like, our guy Renee got into the building. He was like, yeah, like this is a house, there's 4 walls, like you could definitely live here. And it was like, okay, great. Like, this can't be that bad. Whereas some other properties, if they're already vacant, then yeah, sure. If we're in escrow, we'll ask for a 2-day inspection period and we'll schedule a home inspection and get somebody out there. They'll get us some feedback. And we know from there, where we want to be at.
Yeah, yeah. Let me add a little something to that too. So traditionally, we really haven't needed to do the full inspection with the inspector, but the first investor that I worked with, he would do the full gamut, kind of like what you're saying, and invest $1,500 a deal, $2,000 a deal, and then but his strategy was to renegotiate every single deal no matter what.
Right.
For us, like we don't need to do a home inspection on some property because we've already walked it, and or like George, Will just said, we already have like this is a good deal. There's no need for us to do that. We're going to see some surprises anyway. We have our kind of scope of work, an idea of what the rehab budget, but it's not gonna vary that much. It's gonna blow up the deal. But there's other ones where we're like, hey man, you know what? We might need ammunition. It's a tight deal. And or we really want to dial in our numbers in case we do decide to move forward, even though it's a little bit of a tight deal. And so I think it's kind of based on a scenario like that, where like we would like to get a home inspector in there because that also helps us get the scope of work and all that kind of going with the bids and some of the people that maybe might have already worked with us before as a contractor, right? So we're just kind of sending those out to people like, hey, what do you think about this project? And or our project managers are looking at that stuff to help with that. But it's not kind of a requirement for deals either. So just kind of, I think, case by case basis, our default is we like to do it unless, it's a good deal, then we don't really need to do it. And we walked it with the contractor. Yeah. And I do want to say we tend to not really do a lot of heavy rehabs because, that just takes a lot of bandwidth. They tend to kind of go over budget a lot. That's just our business model, but there's plenty of other investors, even on this call, that have different business models. For us, we just don't like heavy rehabs unless we're getting a real deep discount. And at that time, we probably would do a home inspection, or if not, maybe not, because we're getting such a deep discount. So.
And on that note, like with the Hollywood house, the house hack that we just got, like we did not get a home inspection prior to buying, but this week there will be a home inspector there prior to rehab, because like Alex said, like now that becomes one of our pieces that we give our contractor, and we say, hey, you need to do a new kitchen, a new bathroom, new flooring, new walls, and remedy everything that you see in here to code or to whatever the inspector called out into question. And if the inspector says you might need to get another inspection or have a contractor view that, then we'll hey, you need to view that and you need to let us know what your opinion is.
Yeah, and especially if it's a hold, then we'll probably definitely want to do the home inspection after we close, because then we're going to hold that and we want to kind of see the all the little details. And then if it's a flip, we're going to do a final punch list with the contractor and all that, and then the home buyer at the end is going to do the home inspection on that property. So I think
that was going to be my next point, is if the next buyer does it, and then you just correct if it's worthy of correction.
Yeah, we give them correct it, or we give them credit to whatever they want. Yeah, cool, good questions, guys. This is I think helpful.
And guys, it doesn't even have to be questions. Like if you made an offer last week or something and you're fired up about it, you're a little confused about it, you think you might be close on it, like need some extra feedback on it. Like it doesn't have to necessarily just be a flat out question.
I'll say something. So I don't know if I was on vacation for about a month, and I came back and I just didn't go back to work because this investor out here in NorCal, he wants me to do acquisitions for him. So I decided to just go all in, man. So we'll see what happens now.
Jump in the deep end, no floaties or nothing.
Yeah.
That's what's
I
up.
don't know if you have any tips for me, Will.
Yeah, the biggest tip is just, take that massive action. Like every day you have to be consistent. I think, that's what it was that got Renee a deal. That's what it was that got Eliam a deal. That's what it was that got me my first deal. I think it was just being consistent with it. And Alex has always mentioned this, right? Like if you're doing acquisitions full time, you need to be making full-time offers, because the full-time acquisitions people are the ones that are taking down, dude, like Alex took down 80 deals in a year with the 50 deals in a year with the company, right? Like, but it was because he was making, hundreds of offers every week. So if you're just making 1 or 2 offers after a 9 to 5, like now that this is your full-time job, just be consistent and put out the offers.
Yeah, dude, let me add something to that. Thank you, Will. I appreciate that. The thing is, you gotta be super relentless, hungry, bro, for a deal all the time. It's like a nonstop thing. Like you're basically a full-time house buyer now. Like that includes weekends, that includes, I'm not saying to work 24/7, but the thing is like you're always looking for opportunities and they can come from so many different channels. I was talking to some of the people here that are working with me because they want to know a little bit more acquisitions. I started remembering some of the things I would do. Like, for example, in LA, I would go to a lot of properties, but if I was already going to a certain area, I would try to go door knock the foreclosures, like maybe a handful of foreclosures right around that property. If there was another lead that maybe I had in that area, I'd hit that lead up too and door knock it. So like I was very efficient with just, but always on the hunt. Like, okay, I'm going over there. Well, let me make this hour or this, 2 hours. I'm gonna be leaving the office where I could be making more offers, in front of the computer, and let me make it worth it. And let me just always be on the hunt. I'm on social, and then that also trailed into the social media where I was like in the field so much looking at property too that they, I was showing it off to people like, hey, and then they're like, damn, dude, this guy's on this side of town, and then he's on this side of town. This guy's really hustling. And then some days I was just in the office only making offers. Like I'd make sometimes 10 offers in a day. That's if you have MLS access and you're in a bigger area. But I mean, you get the point. It was just kind of this relentless attitude. And even after you get your next deal, then it's like, okay, cool. Well, once you're in acquisitions, you get that first deal. You want to learn about the rehab a little bit, maybe the disposition of it, but you're already off to your next deal. That's the mindset. Like I'm trying to win my next game, right? I'm trying to, get the next deal. It's a constant journey, and this, like I said, this relentless attitude of like, I will not stop until I get my next deal. I would get anxiety, I kid you not, by not going on the MLS for like 24 hours. Cause I'd be like, man, like I know I missed something. I know I missed something because that's all I lived and breathed, which is acquisition. So I get on my guys because I'm like, you guys are not, I mean, come on, how many fucking offers did we make this week? Like there's thousands of houses out there, and I get on
thousands. Yeah, there's thousands.
There's
You can make
hundreds
an
of
offer on
thousands of
every
houses
one.
out there. How the fuck did we only make this many offers this week? Like, excuse my language, like, because I was by myself making offers 5, 10, 15 offers a day sometimes. I'm not saying you have to do that exactly, but just that mindset of I need to get my next deal. I need to find my next opportunity. Like super, super valuable.
Yeah, it was actually the investor that I JV'd with. I guess he reached out to me, and because we almost lost the deal, so I had to go and talk to the seller. So he's like, hey man, I want to talk to you and see what you think. So I'm like, all right, I better just do it now. So
Hey,
we'll see what happens.
You're gonna make it happen. That's what's gonna happen, bro. Just
Alex.
mindset. Yeah. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, were you using a formula when you were giving all those offers?
Yeah. So at that time when I was working for that firm, because I was working for that investor, and they had more kind of a specific formula of like, hey, anything that will make at least about 40,000 in profit. That was in core Los Angeles. They were all over. They had a lot of, they were kind of somewhat of almost like a small hedge fund, but not necessarily. They were kind of, we were doing over 150 flips a year. So that we had a very specific kind of buy box. We could go outside of that a little bit, but a lot of it fit that because I'm covering almost all of South LA. That was kind of my territory for that company, and that's a big geographic area. So I mean, either be off market wholesalers or networking or a bunch of MLS. But I was like, my goal was always to make a minimum, if I could, 5 offers a day at that time because we had the capital and there was a big territory. I wouldn't do that now necessarily because I don't, it's a little bit different now. But I mean, the principle's the same. Like you're constantly on the hunt for a deal, and you're making offers. It's going to turn into something. And then I did deals with people down the road that I made an offer on, and I didn't even get a deal with them. They just saw my offer, talked to me a couple of times, and they remembered me. And then 4 months later, they called me back and gave me a deal. Like I've done multiple deals with like 5 agents in Southern California where they've given me probably 3 to 4 or 5 deals. These are relationships you're building long-term. Also, when you're making a lot of offers, if you're doing them in the right way. All right. Right. So these are all, you're getting potential deals right away. You're getting deals down the road by making that, that intention constantly. I'm going to be making offers. I'm going to be on the hunt. I'm going to be looking for deals.
Cool. Did you email them the offers, or were they verbal?
Oh, good question. I like the nuances. So I would say the majority of them were 60-80% of them, somewhere in that range, 2/3 were formal offers we were writing. The other ones were more verbal offers because it was maybe a stale listing, something that was overpriced. But it was a fixer upper, so it justified an investor offer, but they just were simply overpriced. Or a homeowner that kind of called them on, we will save that information from them, but I didn't email them an offer because they were pretty, they were too high priced, they were too far off. But it was a little bit of both. But I'd say 2/3 of it were formal, where we did actually write offers, sent them proof of funds, sent them our, the buying entity name, everything, and they knew what we what we were offering and that we were a real buyer. Also, it helps a lot when you do deals in certain areas if you use anchoring, where you'll be like, yo, like I got 2 other projects in this area. We do that, and whatever deals we have in the area, we're also talking to agents and wholesalers and other people like, hey, we're real buyers. We have these multiple projects going on. We'd love another one in the area. Helps give that end person who's in control of the deal confidence that you will perform, even if your offer is not the best price. Well, they can vet you better, and that's what people want. They want that confidence that you're going to get them paid.
And Chris kind of had another question on that note. Just wondering, like, when we're making 50 deals, we're using specific filters like probates, foreclosures, things like that. Like, dude, I mean, like most of these are just coming from straight up on MLS. We're looking for deals. You can use keyword searches. You can just type in, like, I think it's the quotation marks, cash only, investor, TLCs. Like, you can do that. We're on top of everything that gets listed. Like Alex said, like sometimes, you'll wake up with a nightmare and be like, dude, something got listed last night at 9 o'clock. I fell asleep on the couch. Like, somebody already bought it. Somebody texted the agent at 9:05 p.m. right after it got listed and got the deal. So like you can have a pre-setting like that on Zillow, where as soon as something's listed under a certain price in a certain area, you get a ping about it and you can start reviewing and analyzing that deal. So
yeah,
we have tons of
I used to use this example, Will. I'll be like, imagine the guy, the investor, 2 investors, right? First investor, he's on MLS constantly, and then he sees something hit the market Friday, afternoon, and then he's all over it talking to the agent. The agent shows him the property next Saturday. They're talking about the deal. He sees it with his project manager, and Monday comes around. I mean, this guy's practically already got the deal sealed, and this investor's just calling this listing for the first time. Like, who do you think is going to probably get that deal? You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean it has to be you on that hunt constantly. It could be someone on your team, or multiple people. But you get the point. It's just like that's how the MLS or just deals with work in general. Like, you got to be on it. You got to be on high alert. Yeah.
Good question, Sean and Chris. Love the follow-ups too, and kind of diving deeper and deeper into that. That's good stuff. Anybody else have any questions, big wins they want to share? Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a win. Could even just be something new that you tried this week that might be working. If you tried a different kind of offer, a different, strategy of offers, something like that you want to share, let us know. I think we got about 15 more minutes in here. So would love to hear from another couple folks.
I have a question actually.
Fire away, and then we'll go to Andy next.
Okay. Yeah.
I got a question for Alex. Hey, so Alex, I know you're kind of growing your team now, and like it seems like you got a lot of like new like faces and everything. And do you ever have trouble like when you're trying to get guys to do stuff and then they'll say they'll do it, but then they don't do it? And if so, like how do you kind of like manage like your team to like kind of keep them motivated and like accountable?
Yeah, well, great question. I think someone else had another question, but Daniel, I think what it comes down to is just that accountability, but also the culture of like your group of people and the team you're building. Because like if you have to like follow up with someone, they're not getting the job done. Like, I mean, they're probably maybe not the right person for your team. So we give them, we give people slack. But since we're having these weekly meetings where everybody has a certain amount of like responsibilities for that week, like if you don't get your stuff done, it's pretty apparent because you have to say, oh, I didn't get that done in front of the meeting, in front of everybody. So I think for us, that's been very helpful. But like, hey, I don't like being that person either, where I said I was going to do something and I don't do it. So, it just kind of, it's part of our culture. Like, you got to get stuff done. And then we're able to, because as you grow, you'll see the weaker links, and if maybe somebody was good for you working with you at a certain time, but then later on you kind of outgrow them because they're not growing at the pace that need to be with the speed that your team is growing or, evolving, right? It's a constant, you're either growing or dying really as a startup or as a small group of people. I don't think any of us here have huge companies, but the accountability and then the culture you're building out is super important, because for us, like right away, we can tell who's a superstar, who's not. That's all we want to be around. People that are A players, people that are going to get results and not give excuses. And then if they don't do that, then it's really clear with the results right away. And then so we just move on. We try to give people chances, but at the end of the day, we've had to move on by several people in the last. Although our team is growing, we've also had to move on from, I would say, 3-4 people at least that we didn't want to, but they didn't get the results, and they were good people and we liked them. But you got to go if you're not going to get the job done. Someone else will. Yeah.
The other thing I'll say on that, Daniel, is like leaders, create leaders, right? So like that comes down to the culture thing Alex was talking about, kind of having that leader at the top. And for us, like as a leadership team, like I'm willing to do anything that we're asking other people to do. Like Alex is willing to, and so it's like, okay, you don't know how to make 20 offers, like we'll do a 20 offer marathon and be like, the next 4 hours, we're going to make 20 offers right now. And then next week, if you say I can't make 5 offers in a week, I'm going to be like, dude, did you see you were on that call? Like we made 20 offers in 3 or 4 hours. How can you not make 5 in a week? Right. And that's that accountability. Like Alex said, like, on our weekly meetings, it's, hey, did you make your 5 offers? No. Then you got 2 days to make those by the end of the week. Like, let's make it happen. And again, like we're willing to do anything we ask of the people below us on that leadership ladder, right?
Thank you guys. That's super helpful. Super helpful.
Nicholas, I know you had a question, and then I think Andy had one. So fire away, guys.
Yeah, so just a quick intro. My name is Nick. I'm in Long Beach area right now. I just got my license about a month ago, so I already have my MLS searches set up. My only problem is finding the deal. So I'm seeing that it's very competitive right now. So if the price is right, there's probably like already 50, 100 people like at the open house. And then if the price is not right, it just kind of goes back and forth. So I'm just my question is like, what do you recommend? Because I'm starting to look into off market a little bit. And do you have any recommendations on finding deals and stuff like that?
On our off market, I mean, we didn't have the best off market year last year. We probably picked up deals. So when you're looking at off market, you're having to find people and get them to raise their hand and say, I'm willing to sell my property. Whereas where we had a lot of success last year was on the MLS and from wholesalers, because wholesalers already did that job for us. And the MLS, the agents already did that job for us. So they already said, hey, this guy wants to sell their house. This is what they want to sell it at. Now it's my job to educate that agent. And we've done it before. I recorded a call and our team got to listen in where I educated an agent why we were going to come in at 5 to 10% less of the purchase price than we were at before after the inspection. And he ended up taking that education, going back to the seller, and the seller ended up saying, hey, this makes sense the way that you presented it. Like, we're going to accept the offer now that we've seen it. So the other thing for me is when a wholesaler sends me a deal, I ask them right away, is this first come, first serve? Or is this an open house? If it's an open house, I typically don't go. The reason being is, my name is Lowball Wall. Like, I'm not going to have the highest offer. It's not going to be the sexiest terms. It's not going to be the best looking offer. It's like, there's going to be better offers than mine. So I'm not going to waste my time there. I'm going to focus on opportunities where there's high motivation and less competition.
Yeah. So Nicholas, let me ask you a question so that you clarify. You're looking to buy a deal to flip in SoCal.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I have 8 rentals in SoCal right now. So I'm just trying to get my first flip, but I'm on the MLS. Anytime something comes up, I'm jumping on it. But the thing is, it's just very competitive right now from what I'm seeing, and the prices or the numbers just aren't making sense.
How many properties have you looked at? How many offers have you made?
I've probably looked at like 50 properties, and I would say made 2 or 3 offers.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 to 3 offers, how come no other offers were made on the other ones?
Yeah, the one of the offers was like, they already went 100K over asking. So it was like, there was just no way I was going to make that one. The other one was just subject to interior inspection, but the amount of work that was needed didn't really justify the asking price.
Okay. Just trying to identify. Make sure though also that, when someone has, because sometimes these listing agents, from my experience, they'll just kind of like want shine off people because they have enough offers. but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't at least try to like, oh, well, try to make some type of formal offer in case something falls out, or, in case you still gives you some interaction with the agent that might be something you do business with down the road. So I guess that's the only little nuance I would add to that.
My biggest takeaway was if you looked at 50 deals and you only made 3 offers, any deal that I look at and I analyze gets an offer, because you never know. Renee can tell you, Renee's on the call right now. Like, Renee has gotten better and better and better and better, because each offer you make, you get to a more uncomfortable situation. And each uncomfortable situation you get to, by the time that next one comes around, you've already been in each of those waters before. You've been like, oh my gosh, it fell out of escrow with the last buyer. Like, oh, I know exactly how to help. Like, I know, okay, well, I can make sure that doesn't happen. And you know how to guide that conversation to you being the next person. And Alex has pointed it out twice on the acquisition side. Like, you want to be that guy that agent or that wholesaler knows, like, this is the guy that's going to take down this deal.
Let me ask him one more question. So who's writing those offers? You or the listing agent?
I'm writing offers. Yeah.
That's another problem right there, Papa. Oh, I'm glad we identified this. Okay. So, because we've talked about this on previous webinars, you have to, if you're going to go on MLS, where you have to let the listing agent represent, or otherwise let them tell you can represent yourself. But by default, you should be like, hey, you opposed representing me, more that flow, then hey, I can maybe pay more money because I'm getting a commission on this, so I could pay more than maybe the next investor. But that you forget that sometimes we overlook that the agent has an investment deal on their hands. Like, what do you think they're thinking? Like, they want to squeeze everything they can out of that, lemon as well, or whatever. And so I've noticed a lot of newer, or not, I wouldn't call you a newer investor because you got 8 properties in SoCal. So, congratulations on that. I mean, that's very difficult. Most people can't say that. But MLS access is important, but having the listing agents represent you on MLS offers is way more important, because like, that's out of all the deals I've done, over 100, 60 or 55 or so have been on MLS, and of those 55, 60, 85, 90% of those were because of listing agent. Not only because, but you get what I'm saying, we're a listing agent double-ended.
100% this past year, 2021, Alex, we had 100% were listing agent represented.
My bad. Okay.
So Alex was 80-90% career average. We were at 100% this year. So he's right on point with that.
He knows the numbers better than I do. Okay. So, but the point is, again, my strategy is default, let them represent me. Second option, do you have anybody, Mr. Cordero, if you're the listing agent, that can, represent me as a buyer, because you still want to be in tight with their circle. So maybe they have someone in the office, they don't want to get their hands dirty and double pop it, but then they'll let somebody in the office double pop it, and then you got a better chance at that deal. And the third option is like, okay, cool, you write that offer up and represent yourself as a buyer, because what you're trying to communicate is like, I don't care about a commission, bro, I just want to buy the deal. And you're coming from that frame, rather than, oh, hey, you know what, I'm an agent, I'm taking half of your commission, but I could pay a little bit more. But that's not putting more money in their pocket. So you know what I mean? Yeah. So you get the point. You're smart. You're real smart. So just trying to go with that strategy over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 offers. And then please report back. I'm very hopeful that,
next month on the open house. Yeah, we want to hear back from you. So
you'll get different results with that kind of that framework and that kind of offer strategy.
All right. Yeah. Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Andy, I know you had one more question. Fire away, brother.
I just had a question. I'm trying to get comfortable speaking with agents. Like I said, I'm not a seasoned investor. I maybe top 3 questions I should be asking the agents, or any top tips of when speaking to agents. What should I really look at and ask, pretty much?
I take them for coffee.
Nice, Mark. That works.
That's a good one for me. It's always, what's the scoop? Like, Alex taught me that one, and I just kind of get him on the phone and I'm like, hey, so Mark, like, what's the scoop with that deal on 123 Street? And I just shut up. And like, you would never know the most shit that they'll tell you about a deal if you just ask them like that. They'll be like, oh, somebody died in it. It happened in the back room, like this, and this. And you're like, wow, that wasn't even on the listing. Like, thank you so much for letting me know. I'm super interested. Like, that's why it's been listed for 45 days and nobody's bought it yet, because that isn't in the description, Right. So that's my favorite one. Anybody else have any other ones we can close out with?
I'd like to add a couple real quick. So one of the things I like to ask agents is, It's kind of, it depends on the context of like the phone call, but let's assume that we're calling agents about deals that are either listed or, you know, calling them about investment property. I like to ask them kind of what areas they specialize in at times. Maybe not the first question, because I'm trying to understand where their real strengths are, what the areas they really know really well, in case they can teach me anything, I can learn anything from them. They can talk about something that they're really actually good at. So it kind of helps a conversation. So like if I'm calling about a certain listing, I might ask them, oh, is this an area you know really well, or did you just kind of come across this listing? So I'm trying to identify where they came across this opportunity. They just listed this property. So that way I could also understand if they, you know, kind of know what they have on their hands, don't know what they have, how seasoned they are. And then I always end with like, hey, what other investment opportunities do you have coming up? As kind of a final question whenever I'm finishing a conversation, kind of as a default, just because we've talked about that current opportunity or our current situation, whatever that was we spoke about. I want to find out if there's something else that they have cooking in the background. And if they're productive, they usually do have something. And it keeps the conversation going a little bit longer about you doing an investment deal with them potentially too. And I've gone deals that way or hey, you know what, something came up, and then something came up later on. They thought of me because I was just probing so much for more opportunities. That's been good. And then just talking with confidence overall, because like most agents don't really know that much about investing, and just because they have a little real estate license, we feel like they have this like authority, or they're like super like knowledgeable. But most agents don't own a lot of investment property, and most agents don't do a lot of investment deals. So you can't assume that they know way more than you simply because you haven't done a lot of deals. And so just talking with I'm really probing. I'm finding out about this opportunity. I'm finding about them, and just within that context, it's easy to keep leave the conversation where like, oh man, I like that person. Because some investors can be a little bit rough, right? They, big egos. They got, they got money. They got success. They got things going, and they could. And I've noticed some, investors can be a little bit, just disrespectful, rough, not really that cordial. And politeness and being professional goes a long way in this business, because people, want to work with people that are professional, polite, know what they're talking about, speak, with genuine like understanding, and not, no big egos and things like that. So those are a couple tips, man. I don't want to go on forever, but
no, I think again, those are like, huge tips. Like Alex has taken down a lot of deals off MLS. And I think, being able to communicate with agents is super important, Andy. So I again, just not to harp on a dead horse, but I think taking massive action, and just the more agents that you communicate with and the more uncomfortable conversations you have, the better and better you're going to get at communicating with them.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Well, cool guys. Again, like Ben, this was our 61st week of Ask Alex. We appreciate all you guys coming on and joining us, all the regulars, all the new guys. We can't wait to see you guys again. The Facebook group I posted in the chat. If you guys, aren't in there, join, share your experiences in there, let us know. And then also we'll see everybody on Thursday this week next week for our meetup, Thursday the 10th of February.
Before you cut off, I got a quick question. I think it's gonna be a good one. Alex, I'm looking at a house right now. It's fire damage, but there was a murder in it. The house is gonna have to be redone. About 80% of it's gonna have to be rebuilt. But I could build 3 units in the back. Would you do that one or not? I like buying burnt houses. I don't know why. But the murder's scaring me.
If you're gonna keep the property and you're cool with the murder, then that's cool. But if you're gonna resell the property, consider that on the ARV, because like that is kind of a deal killer for many people. Natural causes is not, but murders and suicide are kind of deal killers for us. And even if it's a hold, I might not consider it because of that personally. So I think yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing, but
100K discount.
Like 3 units. All right, I'm done.
100K discount or more, bro.
Love it.
All right, guys, we'll see you guys on the flip side next week. And if not, we'll see you guys on Thursday. All right. Thursday the 10th in downtown LA. The link is in the Facebook group. We'll see you guys there.